You guys ready? Yep, we're ready. Thank you. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. I'm going to call this meeting to order. I have agenda before me. Is there any additions to the agenda?
Good morning, Reeve and Council. Administration would like to request the following. Under 9, new business, 9.3.4, Committee of the Whole meeting cancellation.
Any other additions? Okay, seeing none, I'm looking for a motion to adopt the amended agenda. Thank you, Councillor Slipchuk, for making this motion that Council approves adoption of the agenda with the following additions under 9, new business, 9.3, Committee of the Whole meeting cancellation. Any discussion on this motion, gentlemen? I'm seeing none. I'll call for the vote. That's carried. Thank you. On to the adoption of the minutes, regular meeting of council, August 26, 2025.
Mr. Reeve, we just have one amendment to the minutes from administration. The motion under business arising from closed session, the lot and block number just need to be swapped. So we would be deleting lot 2, block 10, and replacing it with lot 10, block 2.
Okay, thank you. We have a motion. Would someone like to make that motion to fix this? Yes, thank you, Councillor Swigert, for making that motion. That council approves adoption of the minutes of the August 26, 2025 regular meeting of council with the following amendment. Resolution number 25.350, replace lot 2, block 10 with lot 10, block 2. Any discussion on this motion, gentlemen? I'm seeing none. I'll call for the vote. That's carried. Thank you. And thanks for finding that error. I think we're going to go to 8.1, subdivision application number 2025S014.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Administration is presenting subdivision application 2025 S014 for council's consideration. This application proposes a 3-acre parcel from agricultural quarter section southeast 5, 63-1, west of the 4th meridian as shown on the map in Appendix A. Notification of the proposed subdivision was sent to referral agencies and adjacent landowners with a deadline of August 12th to submit concerns to be considered at the September 9th council meeting. No concerns have been received regarding this application. The subject site is located approximately 3 miles east of the city of Cold Lake on Township Road 630 and Range Road 414. The application complies with the Municipal Government Act, Subdivision and Development Regulation, the Lower Athabasca Regional Plan, Municipal Development Plan, and the municipality's land use bylaw. Therefore, it is recommended that the proposed subdivision be approved with the following conditions. Pursuant to the Municipal Government Act, all approaches, culverts, and internal roads be installed, that the applicant dedicate a 17-foot wide strip of land for road widening along the entire east frontage of the proposed and remnant parcels to be registered by separate road plan, that cash in lieu be paid to the municipality and a deferred reserve caveat be registered on title, a real property report be prepared by an Alberta land surveyor, that the septic system be compliant, and all outstanding property taxes to be paid.
Thank you so much. Okay, thank you, Councillor Fadea, for making this motion. The council approves subdivision application number 2025S014 for a 3-acre subdivision from agricultural quarter section southeast 056301 west of the 4th meridian for Michael and Bernadette Lemontang as per the following conditions 1 through 6 before you. Any discussion on this motion, gentlemen? Okay, I'm not seeing any. I'll call for the vote. That's carried. Thank you. 8.2.
Administration has received and is presenting a request for a time extension for subdivision application 2024-S-011 for council's consideration, wherein the applicant is requesting a one-year time extension on conditionally approved subdivision file 2024-S-011 within agricultural parcel plan 1125887, Block 1, Lot 1 in Northwest 24, 63-6 west of the 4th Meridian. Due to time constraints, the applicant is still in the process of bringing the existing structures into compliance in order to meet the required conditions of subdivision approval. Administration is recommending that council approve the request for a one-year time extension on conditionally approved subdivision file 2024-S-011 for Jarl and Chelsea Grutyson.
Thank you.
A motion.
Okay, thank you, Councillor Sipchik, for making this motion that council approves the request for a one-year term extension on conditional approval subdivision application number 2024-S-011 for Jarl and Chelsea Grutyson. Any discussion on this motion? Yeah, Councillor Fadeev, then Councillor Sipchik.
Yeah, thanks. So how many times can they come back and ask for an extension?
I believe they can ask for another one-year time
Or
extension.
1 year after that? Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Sipchik?
I just got a few questions for my understanding. So the $105 fee was for extra paperwork that's encountered to do this, acquired to do this?
To bring it to council, yeah, and to look into where they're at.
Okay, thank you.
Go ahead, Deputy Reed.
So, do we know what's left to do there? Like, I mean, they had a list of things that they had to do, and did they do any of it, or?
I'm not the development officer on this file, but I did talk to Christy Poirier, and she said it's just been a little bit of holdup with building code, bringing some of the existing structures into compliance. She is confident that they should be able to get it done before the one-year mark. There's not much left to do, but they need a little bit more time.
Thank you. Any other questions or discussion? Okay, I'm seeing none. I'll call for the vote. That's carried. Thank you. Going to 9.2.1.
Good morning, council.
Morning.
We have today for you bylaw number 1901, amending boards and committees bylaw. So this bylaw is prepared to amend the current bylaw number 1748. The amendments are to reflect updates due to provincial legislation changes as well as updated terms of reference documents that council approved earlier this summer. This bylaw did get first reading from council on August 26th, and we are just bringing it back today for second and third reading from council.
Okay, thank you. Looking for a motion for second reading, gentlemen. Thank you, Councillor Crick, for making this motion. The bylaw number 1901 being a bylaw of the Municipal District of Bonneville number 87 to amend bylaw number 1748 boards and committee bylaws to be given second reading. Any discussion on this, gentlemen? I'm seeing none. I'll call for the vote. That's carried. Thank you. Looking for a third reading. Thank you, Councillor Sipchik, for making this motion of bylaw number 1901 be given third reading. Any discussion on this motion, gentlemen? I'm seeing none. I'll call for the vote. That's carried. Thank you. On to 9.2.2.
So here we have bylaw number 1902. Again, it's an amending bylaw to amend the procedural bylaw. The changes here are as well to address recent provincial legislative changes that we are required to come into compliance with. Attached as Appendix A is the draft amending bylaw. Appendix B is the current procedural bylaw outlining the proposed changes that are being made to the original procedural bylaw. Bylaw number 1902 did get first reading from council as well on August 26th. Today, administration is again just looking for second and third reading of the bylaw.
Thank you. Thank you, Councillor Swaggart. You want to speak or make a motion? Okay, thank you for making this motion that bylaw number 1902, being a bylaw of the municipal district of Bonnyville, number 87, to amend bylaw number 1892, procedural bylaw, be given second reading. Any discussion on this, gentlemen? Okay, I'm seeing none. I'll call for the vote. Thank you. That's carried. Looking for third. Thank you, Councillor Fadеев, for making this motion that bylaw number 1902 be given third reading. Any discussion on this? I'm seeing none. I'll call for the vote. That's carried. Thank you. On to 9.2.3.
Administration has prepared amendments to policy number 1.009, council social media use policy, as part of its scheduled review for council's consideration. So administration has completed a review of this policy, and as per the current review schedule for the document, and has prepared amendments to reflect some operational and administrative changes, as well as recent legislative changes at the provincial level. The proposed amendments are to enhance the policy's clarity, accountability, and professionalism in online communication, as well as refine language for improved readability, simplify definitions, and emphasize the importance of adhering to established protocols. The proposed amendments include requiring councillors to maintain separate personal and professional social media accounts, ensuring transparency through disclaimers and prohibiting the sharing of restricted information such as confidential matters or unannounced decisions, introducing guidelines on copyright compliance, and reaffirming the REI's role as the official spokesperson for the municipality. Furthermore, in response to the recent provincial changes in legislation, administration has removed all council code of conduct provisions to align with those changes. Attached for council's review is the draft policy as Appendix A, and today administration is looking for council's adoption of the amended policy.
Thank you. Yes? Thank you, Councillor Fadеев, for making this motion that council adopts amending policy number C-1009, council social media use policy as presented. Any discussion, gentlemen, on this? I'm seeing none. I'll call for the vote. That's carried. Thank you. On to 9.2.4.
So lastly, for you today, I have proposed amendments to policy number C-2A.022, election campaign policy. Again, these amendments are to bring the document into compliance with recent provincial legislation changes. Attached as Appendix A is the proposed amending version of the document. And again, administration is just looking for council's adoption of the amended policy.
Thank you. Okay, thank you, Councillor Swaggart, for making this motion that council adopts amending policy number C-2A.022, election campaigns policy as presented. Any discussion on this, gentlemen? I'm seeing nothing. I'll call for the vote. Oh, sorry. That's okay. Okay. I guess go ahead.
Yeah, thanks. I had a call that I couldn't answer from a person that's running in regards to, and I couldn't see in the policy, in regards to having after the 22nd, we have a meeting on the 23rd, how that works in with this policy.
It's my understanding we don't really address regular meetings of council in that policy. In order to maintain operations of the municipality, it was decided last October at the organizational meeting to continue with all scheduled meetings in September, and council made the decision to cancel all meetings in October. So that's what administration went with. As far as I understand, there's no issues or concerns with meetings. I know other municipalities do it. I know other municipalities don't. I think it's up to each municipality and their own discretion.
Okay, thanks for confirming that. That's kind of what I said. I just didn't want to be wrong, so thanks.
All right, thanks. Any other discussion? Okay, seeing none, I'll call for the vote. That's carried. Thank you. Thank you. All right, 9.3.1.
Good morning, Council.
Morning.
We have before you Policy C2A029MD, Business Registry Program Policy Amendment. Policy C-2A.029MD, Business Registry Policy was last reviewed by Council February 3rd, 2021. The policy was reviewed by senior leadership on July 9th, 2025, led by Economic Development. During this review, administration drafted the proposed amendments to the policy. The proposed amendments provide greater clarity regarding business data collection and support for investment attraction efforts, and a shop local registry. Attached is the policy for your review. The bottom line here is we've made several changes, and the most impactful ones are that we're asking for this to be a mandatory registration with an option to opt out from the forward-facing business directory that will be developed as a result of collecting the information. And it should be noted that there is no fee for this registration, and in no way, shape, or form is it to be understood or inferred that the information used would help in collecting any information about assessment or taxes. And we have removed from the policy a previous condition that meant at any time that the information was being sent out, it was attached to the individual economic development person's information, and therefore, when we needed to change the form, we would each time have to come back and ask for a policy change. And so we've removed that from the document.
Thank you. I think you have a question. Councillor Crick.
Yeah, I guess you covered the fact that it's changing it to a mandatory policy. I guess I'm not necessarily in favor without knowing the full reason why. I just think that it's extra, it's not a huge ask for business, but it still is extra paperwork and extra red tape, in my opinion, asking for something to be mandatory like this. So I think I'd be in favor of not changing it.
Would you like me to respond to that?
Sure, yeah, go
Okay,
ahead.
thank you. So I've been in, excuse me, I've been in this position for 3 years, and it was identified even before I arrived that having a business database or a business registry was crucial to the operation of economic development. When we're looking at business expansion or business attraction, it is crucial that we identify those types of businesses that already exist or can support businesses that want to move here. And without a complete list, someone in my position would have to spend weeks on the phone finding these individuals because no registry exists. I would depend, quite a bit on the internal staff, including assessment, that have been here for a long time and know most of the businesses. However, getting to the point is that when agents or business people are looking to invest, they're not only looking at our community, they're looking at perhaps 5 or 10 other communities, and they've got a certain time frame, and they ask those economic development professionals or agents to get that information to them within 48 hours or 72 hours. I cannot do my job properly if I do not have a business registry that allows me to provide that information to potential investors.
Counselor Fadеев, then Counselor Swaggart.
Yeah, I think it's crucial. I mean, every city, every town makes it mandatory, and there's a cost involved in actually having a business license. This is a no cost involved. It is just a one sheet of paper that you fill out, and if you don't fill it out properly, we're happy to help you with that. So I think it's a positive thing for us, moving our region in a matter where it has to go, and having our economic development officer not spend hours and hours trying to do this. This is 100% behind it.
Thank you. Counselor Swaggart.
No, it was really the same comments. I agree 100%. If you're going to run a business in the MD, you should be registered so that we know it. We know you're there. That's it.
If I may, Reeve Kalinsky?
Yes, go ahead.
Further to the question that Councillor Crick had, we've identified the opportunity in the 2026 budget to entertain a grant application from the federal government so that we would engage a summer student for 16 weeks to do only one thing, and that's to reach out to all the businesses and help them fill this form out. So if you're wondering about how we would pursue this option, that's certainly something that we're aware of, that our business community is always engaged, and they've got other things on the go. So we would do our very best to make it a simple, easy, quick process.
Okay, thank you. Counselor Slipchuk, then Counselor Crick.
Yeah, I believe it's an important tool to have for economic development, so they can know all these businesses that could maybe support a business that's looking to move here, and show them what kind of support they'd have. But also a question is on the mandatory one, is have you talked to any business owners about mandatory registration with them, and if there was any, what their thoughts and feelings are on it?
Yeah, I wouldn't say that it's a scientific approach. It's more of a anecdotal approach, and if I talked to 10 of them, probably 8 of them were for it. One of them was apathetic, and one of them was against. So it's certainly not. I'll be honest with you, and I apologize for this. I thought I turned that off.
454.
We'll never be able to. We'll never be able to appease all the people all the time. But it's a best practice. Right.
No, I think it's a good thing to do.
Thank you. Counselor Crick.
So it's been mandatory or optional for 3 years. Has it been working that way, or is there a huge gap there, or what's the issue, I guess?
Yeah, so I'll give you a bit of a sort of the trajectory on that. When I first arrived, it was a program that was already in place, but no one was following up on it or applying any resources to it. So what I had done is I incentivized it by creating a ad campaign where if you filled it out, you'd be entered to win $250 worth of MD swag, right? So that ran for probably 4 months-ish or more. And so we had maybe 7 responses. So then we decided to put it out in an attachment to taxes, right, to the tax notice. That generated perhaps another 2 or 3 more. So without it being mandatory, that's exactly what it is. It's optional, and people don't see it as being mandatory, so they don't do it.
So, I guess to put this in simple terms, you want to have a registry of all the businesses, so when some other business is looking at coming here, you can tell them what businesses are already here so they can decide if there's the support or if there's too much competition or what's the deal?
There's twofold to it, right? So first of all, when we're looking at a business attraction,
Yeah.
individual businesses will ask us if there is a supply chain, right? I'm going to build widgets, and to build those widgets, I need 17 components. If 15 of those components exist here, they'll possibly bring the business here and they'll import the rest, right? But if they don't know that any of those 17 businesses exist or can't identify if they do, they will move on to the next community, right? So that's the piece around identifying if the business can be supported in the community, right?
Yeah.
If all of the right resources exist. The second piece is that if you've been doing business in the MD of Bonnyville for 20 years, and you've been hypothetically ordering parts from Lloydminster for 20 years simply because 20 years ago there wasn't that component here, if you have a business directory, you can look it up, and it's different than an online Google when you say, I need a plumber, and 1,000 or 2,000 plumbers come up. You have a business directory that is dedicated specifically to those businesses that exist within the MD. I can then make the choice to shop local, reduce my costs, reduce my turnaround time, and increase my support of local businesses, and possibly have a business expand as a result of that and generate more revenue for the MD.
Okay.
Did I answer the question for you, Councillor?
Yeah, I think
Okay,
so.
excellent.
Thank you. Councillor Kraviak.
Yeah, thank you, Rev. Kalinsky. I support this, and I'll make a motion to approve this.
Thank you. Thank you, Councillor Kraviak, for making this motion. I'm going to make sure I'm on the right one here. That council adopts amending policy number C-28029 MD Business Registry Program Policy as presented. Any other discussion on this? Yes.
Yeah, just
Go
one
ahead,
more
Councillor.
question. You mentioned the grant from the federal government for 16 weeks for a summer student to go around and get all this information. So what is really the incentive behind the federal government? Are they just, I guess I get kind of nervous when the federal government sometimes puts out some of these grants. Like, is there strings attached, or is it just, I don't really know.
So this particular program, if the question is what's the program and what's the incentive behind the program, it's a typical summer student program, and this one is particularly focused on business support, right? So we would identify hopefully an individual that's going into business administration, finance, or some other business-related program, and they would be able to learn something they could apply to their potential trade, and we would have the benefit of the information being collected for our business registry, right? So it's a 50-50 up to a total of, for their 50%, $13 per hour. So if we wanted to max out, the most we would particularly pay for this individual would be $26, but that doesn't mean that would be the wage that we would pay them. We would pay them a requisite or composite salary based on other job descriptions, similar job descriptions.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. I just got a question for Councillor Fadeev and Deputy Reeves Carson. You guys have businesses in the town and the city. Is it mandatory in the town and in the city? Councillor Fadeev?
For the city of Cold Lake, sure is.
Okay.
Yeah, it's $150 to get your little photocopied piece of paper, right? So, and it is mandatory, and there's a fine involved, so.
Okay.
Yeah, to get a business license in Bonnyville is mandatory. I don't know if it's a registry used for anything else besides a business license, but, yeah, it's definitely
Okay. Thank you.
mandatory, yeah.
Thank you.
I think most towns and cities is probably mandatory like that with a fee. But again, I think that Scott is probably using it for better than what I know I'm paying for, right? So.
I'm not going to comment on what another municipality is doing. I do know that if you go to the town website, their business directory is not very full, and currently the city of Cold Lake is updating their business directory process.
All right, thank you. Any other discussion? I'm seeing none. I'll call for the vote.
Morning.
Hey, Doug.
hasn't voted? We're good? All right, that's carried. We have a delegation now. I think, can we take a 5-minute break, or are they right there waiting?
It's up to you, they're ready.
Is that ready?
Okay, they're there, we might as well let them have it, and then we can go right after they're done. All right, we'll take a break right after them.
We're proceeding, correct?
Nope.
Yeah, we have a
sorry.
delegation coming in, or online. Yeah, there they are.
Good morning.
Morning, gentlemen. I guess go ahead,
Should I
start us
go
off,
ahead?
boys.
I was just about to ask.
Yeah.
All right. Good. We have a slideshow that should be coming up here as well. But I'll go ahead and get started. My name is Doug Milley, and I'm representative of the Canadian Ski Patrol. For the number of years I've been, last few years, I've been a patrol leader at the Canadian Ski Patrol at Kinnessoo Ridge. And we just wanted to have this presentation today to, connect with the MD Council about a few things. There we go. We got the Canadian Ski Patrol up here. I'll just also say that the other gentleman on the line here is Jeremy Dirksen, and he is the president of the Edmonton Zone of the Canadian Ski Patrol, and basically runs the Canadian Ski Patrol for the Edmonton area. And now that I see the slideshow is up, I'll just proceed on. Would you mind going to the next slide, please? All right.
They're trying. There we go.
They're trying.
Yeah, we got her.
It looks like we're in PDF mode today. Okay. So the reason why the Canadian Ski Patrol requested this delegation today was to bring up a couple of issues to ensure that the MD Council is aware of who the Canadian Ski Patrol is, the past role that the Canadian Ski Patrol has played in the Lakeland at Kinnessoo Ridge and other spots, and the lack of a working agreement between CSP and Kinnessoo Ridge, and the potential for future involvement with CSP and the members in the community. Before I go any further, I just wanted to also send out a big thanks to Charity and Stephanie, who've just been amazing in getting this organized for us and accommodating our online delegation here. We had a couple of test meetings and they went really, really well, and we appreciate the effort that they've put in. Can we go to the next slide, please? So the Canadian Ski Patrol is a volunteer organization that is present at about 230 ski areas around Canada and consists of over 4,500 trained volunteers. It is a federally recognized advanced first aid training program, and it says 60 hours plus annual recertification, and those 60 hours actually don't include some of the extra training that we do online and through various means. So it's actually, our advanced first aid training is actually closer to 80 hours. And in the Lakeland at Kinnessoo Ridge, over the last number of years, most of our members have been long-term community members of the Cold Lake area and the MD of Bonnyville. If we go to the next slide. I did have a number of pictures here in the PowerPoint slideshow, but they kind of all got flattened down here for the PDF version. But you can see that we do our own training in-house. The Canadian Ski Patrol, including myself, has a number of trained instructors. And we do the advanced first aid training up here locally in Cold Lake. We do a lot of the training ourselves, and you can see some of our members there. If you go to the next slide as well, please. Some of the other things that we've been involved with in the community is providing first aid services at the Cold Lake Air Show as well, which I know that the MD has been supportive of in the past too. You can see there's some of the members there. That's includes some members from our local Kinnessoo Ridge Patrol, but also includes patrollers that came up from Edmonton, especially for the event. If we go to the next slide, please. I'd like to get into a little bit of the history of the Canadian Ski Patrol and Kinnessoo Ridge. I don't know exactly the number of years that the CSP has been patrolling at Kinnessoo Ridge, but it is at least 20, and I think it's actually closer to 30. We have a number of long-serving members that were members of Kinnessoo Ridge, including myself. I joined the Kinnessoo Ridge Ski Patrol in 2011 when my daughter was born, the same year my daughter was born. And another long-serving member was Benoit Cote. He joined in 2014. He's actually been a member of the Kinnessoo Ridge Ski Patrol, and he's also been part of the Marmot Basin Ski Patrol during that time period. And previous to us, we've had a number of members that were also long-term members, including a gentleman named Mark McGuire, who was a member of the Kinnessoo Ridge Ski Patrol for 15 years. And we've been present through many changes at Kinnessoo Ridge. I remember when I started, it was the first year that the new chalet was open, and the new patrol hut as well. I remember my first number of runs going up the T-bar, not the blue chair. It's the changes that we've seen at Kinnessoo Ridge has been amazing, and we've been there through many of those changes ourselves. Over the years, we've had a membership that has ranged between 5 members and 20 members. And year over year, we've had a lot of consistency in our members, with most of our membership volunteering with the Ski Patrol for at least 2 to 3 years, and sometimes often longer, but generally most of the members patrol for a minimum of 2 to 3 years. During that time, we've noticed that a lot of the paid patrol, the people who are patrolling on a regular basis during the weekdays when CSP is normally not available, the turnover rate has been very high, and many of those members are hired new each year, and so the CSP has often had a role in maintaining the consistency of the first aid services provided at Kinnessoo Ridge. If we can go to the next slide there. Sorry, I'm looking off to the side because I have my own copy of the slideshow that's a little bit friendlier on my eyes, which seem to have been having a little bit more difficulty the last few years. The service provided by the CSP is we are a nationally accredited advanced first aid organization. In fact, when you look at the organization, the board that basically sets the first aid standards across Canada, there are 5 members of the board, including St. John's Ambulance, Red Cross, the Heart and Stroke Foundation, the Life Saving Society, and the Canadian Ski Patrol. So we are a major player nationally in what the first aid standards are. We provide first aid services for patrons and staff. We will help, or we transport the patients when they're on the hill. We promote safety while we're on the hill. So most of our patrollers, our job on the hill when we're volunteering is to be out on the hill skiing, and that's really what we want to be doing. We want to be out on the hill skiing and promoting safety while we're out there. In recent years, we've assisted in training on hill. We've been assisted in training the ski hill staff as well. We've had a number of employees at Kinnessoo Ridge that have taken the Canadian Ski Patrol training as well. And we also assist in safety-related operations, although this has been more and varied over the years, depending on the management and who is running the operations. We've done many things like putting up or moving snow fences, bamboo, and signs, etc. We're eyes on the hill. We're able to make sure that we are there watching things, ensuring that the patrons of the ski hill are doing things that are safe and basically helping to enforce some of the safety rules of the hill. And we also watching out for areas of concern. So if there is some safety fencing that is down, snow fence that is down, bamboo that's gotten knocked out of place or blown out of place, we're able to make sure that we're maintaining the safety of the ski hill while it's in operation. We've also, over the years, assisted quite a bit in maintaining the patrol hut inventory and maintenance. If we'll go to the next slide, please. Okay. One of the main services that when we look at the use of volunteers in organizations like Kinnessoo Ridge, a lot of times they have to dedicate quite a bit of effort and staffing hours to recruiting those volunteers and organizing them and training them and making sure that there's a schedule that's up to date. We, as the Canadian Ski Patrol, we have had a long history of recruiting and training our own members. And although we would love to acknowledge that Kinnessoo Ridge has been fantastic in assisting with that, we do put a lot of our own effort and time into recruiting and training our own members, the volunteers that will be doing the first aid. And we also do our own organization. So when we work out a schedule for the year, CSP, most of our members have day jobs and so are only really available on the weekends. But we are the ones who organize that schedule, and we try to make sure that we do internal coverage. So if somebody is sick, they call us first, and if somebody is able to cover, we make sure that that happens. And only in at the last resort do we call Kinnessoo Ridge and say, look, we're really sorry, but we have nobody that can cover today. So before we even contact Kinnessoo Ridge to let them know that there's nobody that's going to be covering, there's a lot of work that goes on behind the scenes to try and make sure that we are maintaining our commitment. We also have many members who are on occasion able to come in and patrol on weekdays, which can help cover off shifts where there's difficulty. Where there's some difficulty with getting paid patrollers. So we've had a number of times where, paid patrollers are sick and we're able to come in and help out with that. If we go to the next slide here. We've had some notable members of the community that have joined the Ski Patrol as well. And I believe it was 2016, Wing Commander Paul Doyle joined the Canadian Ski Patrol. That was fantastic to have somebody of his caliber on the team. We have also assisted in each Cold Lake Air Show since 2016 with very good support from the Edmonton Zone. We provided first aid services at the over 50 Winter Games for not just on the hill, but also one of the galas required some first aid services with the number of people that were there. And in the future, and this is going towards the future of our patrol, there is always a potential for possible support at other local events like bike races or triathlons and things like that. And given the Alberta Winter Games that the Lakeland is going to be hosting this winter, there is also still the potential with Canadian Ski Patrol to be assisting with those. We're also aware somewhat that there is some Nordic trails in the MD of Bonnyville that could be something that Ski Patrol could be Ski Patrol could be involved in as well. Next slide. Our current situation where we don't have a current agreement with Kinnessoo Ridge has kind of had a little bit of a history. Prior to about 2021, there was a clear year-to-year understanding between the Canadian Ski Patrol and management. The individual contracts, when the management changed that year, the MD understandably wanted to put into place some contracts for the volunteers. Changes in management over those next few years showed the need for some clarification of what the role of the CSP needed to be at the ski hill. In 2024, the leadership of the Kinnessoo Ridge CSP, we pushed for some sort of agreement, a memorandum of understanding, but unfortunately none was reached before the 24-25 ski season began. Eventually in January 2025, a proposal was put forward by the management and the MD, which the CSP was willing to sign, but then was taken back, and the ski hill management had decided, as I understand, that it was too late in the season to get everybody to go through all the occupational health and safety and all of these sorts of things that would be required. So it was not considered worth it for that season. In hopes that we would be able to return in the 2025 season, I contacted Ski Hill Management in May and was told that the Ski Hill would not be using CSP or not be looking for volunteers in the next ski season. If we can go to the next slide, please. Basically, the Canadian Ski Patrol is currently trying to find a new home. We have CSP members that are first aid trained and volunteers, not just volunteers in the community, but we're around in the community. And one of the things that I have learned over the years of being first aid trained is it's really good having members of your community that are first aid trained. We're looking for more opportunities to be involved with the community. And our patrollers, right now, our patrollers are all completed the training last year, even though we did not patrol at Kinnessoo Ridge. And our qualifications make it so that we are able to go up to the end December this year. We're certified. And basically, the bottom line in our requalification process is they're able to take up to a 1-year leave of absence, and then they need to complete all of the first aid training again. So we're hoping that we're going to be able to find something for our patrollers to do within that time frame so that we are able to keep as many of our volunteers as possible. If we go to the next slide, please. One of the benefits of having the Canadian Ski Patrol is that we have lots of volunteers and we can help provide better service with lower costs. Even if paid patrollers are on the hill, we don't necessarily have to replace the paid patrollers. We can augment the paid patrollers. This is something that happens at Sunshine Village, actually. They have paid patrollers on the hill, and the CSP that volunteer, they just help provide extra services. It also provides greater coverage for liability concerns. We're highly visible on the hill, and we help promote safety. If we go on to the next slide. Our CSP patrollers are often serving for years. The paid patrollers have a high turnover, so we help provide that long-term consistency. Next slide, please. Oh, before I go on to the next slide, one of the other things that CSP does is I started volunteering with CSP because I wanted to have a place I could see that there was a strong family and community-oriented feel at Kinnessoo Ridge. And having CSP there and having people there who are parents of the kids skiing around the hill. I think that that provides a strong sense of community at the ski hill as well. And that's one area that CSP really helps. All right. I don't want to go too over the time, but on this slide we have some options here. We understand that the Lakeland will be hosting the Alberta Winter Games and are looking for some possibilities where we could be involved with that. CSP Edmonton may be able to provide extra patrollers for the event, especially if it hopefully leads towards more cooperation in the future. There is also Nordic patrols that we could, if there are Nordic skiing or cross-country skiing in the area, that we could provide some coverage of and service of. And CSP as an organization is also moving towards more and more events that are year-round and not just skiing. So for some examples in the area are the in Edmonton, the MS 150 bike tour and the Tryon Trail. And one more slide, please. Just wanted to thank you for your time. Thanks for listening to this presentation. We're hoping for some more cooperation between CSP and the MD in the future. And whatever that role takes, we just want to make sure that the MD Council is aware of our organization and that we will be able to cooperate again in the future. If there are any questions, I do have on that last slide there my email, which I can be reached at cspkinissu@gmail.com, and Jeremy, he is the Edmonton Zone President again, can be reached at jeremy.dirksen@skipatrol.ca.
Thank you. Any questions, gentlemen?
Thank you very much.
Oh, you're welcome. It doesn't look like too many questions. You guys are going to get off the hook, but thank you for making this presentation today, and thank you for acknowledging a couple of the ladies here on staff. They appreciate that. We appreciate when anybody tells us how good our staff is. It means the world to us. Thank you. All right, you guys have an awesome day. Thank you once again.
You too.
Okay, bye.
Great. Thank you.
Thanks.
Just looking for a motion, gentlemen.
I would just maybe ask as a follow-up if could Ian come up and speak to as why we made the changes there? I wasn't aware of any of this, but if he's prepared to do so anyways.
Sorry? Yep. Go. 1 second.
Good morning. I had kind of same kind of a comment. I think of volunteer firefighters and we couldn't function without volunteers because we're paying them, but very little, right? And I kind of look at Kinissu and think, well, why wouldn't we want volunteer ski patrol guys on the hill? And I know, Ian, you sent us out that package, but I guess there's more to that. But we weren't, council wasn't informed at all that there was kind of any issues with the Canadian Ski Patrol. So be nice to hear what's going on. Thank you.
Councillor Swaggart, we basically had an arrangement with the Ski Patrol when me and Ian took over Kinissu Ridge, and that arrangement was slightly different than our regular volunteers at the Hill. So we had two arrangements. One was kind of like for every volunteer you get this package, and one was you get this package. So we wanted to try and collaborate it, so every volunteer was treated equally. And we wanted consistent support from the CSP as well. The CSP limit themselves to 8 shifts per season over weekends. And as you can imagine, consistent support is key to us. And we were getting inconsistent support. We were getting, 8 shifts a season. And some of the patrollers used their training time as shifts as well. So that limited it down to 6 shifts per season. So we had that. Our CSP patrollers weren't trained because of their inconsistencies of their availability to drive the snowmobile and the side-by-side. So every time we had to respond to an incident that required a toboggan, Kinissu staff had to attend as well. So we basically had to pay someone to go to the scene and bring the patient back. So for that, we had, 3 people doing 2 people's jobs. So for us, that was we were paying somebody on staff to basically be there for a call to go as and when. So we thought, hey, if we have our own guys trained year-round, we can offer a higher level of care in the summer when we have summer camps, when we have the adventure park, and then Monday to Friday, Saturday, Sunday, every day is treated the same in our operation, and we have consistent support.
So when you say 8 shifts per year,
Per season, for the
so
winter
that's
season.
like one Saturday or a couple Saturdays every month or whatever, that's it.
Yeah, and then along with the, the CSP agreement that we offered, the CSP agreement at Kinnis Ridge and Bonneville was the only ski hill in Canada, specifically Alberta, that offered reimbursement for their certification fees. No other ski hill in Alberta offers that. So we were already $150, $175 in the hole per member. Then previous management had given them a $20 to $25 lunch voucher per day to volunteer. So we're already up to $25 a day, times 2, times 18 weekends, times Saturday and Sunday. So it adds up real quick. This year we didn't use CSP at all. We spent an additional $1,000 on wages, and we didn't have to pay CSP registration fees. We didn't have to donate 17 season passes like we did the day before, and lose $25 per lunch per shift for every member. So financially, we were actually better off. And we felt we offered consistent support to our patrons because we had the same staff on that could drive the sled, that could ski around, that could offer that advanced first aid care as well.
So now you're able to have someone, so before maybe you didn't have someone as a ski patrol on a Wednesday night kind of thing, or?
We would always have ski patrol, whether that was a Kinnisu Ridge staff member patrolled or a volunteer from CSP. So traditionally in the week, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Kinnisu Ridge took care of the patrolling, and then the volunteers came in on Saturday and Sunday. During the week, we'd have people that were military personnel. We'd had EMTs that worked for Coal Lake. So we had really good volunteers that were top of their line. They were doing that for a living. It wasn't like they were doing a day job and then, offering first aid care, which the treatment may not be up to that level of standard that we really want for our guests.
So are you still, would you still take volunteer ski patrol even if it wasn't through the CSP?
We would take volunteers. We currently take volunteers for any service. The volunteer numbers at Kinnisu has been dropping over the years based on availability, product, guest services, customer service. We find that we get better product with consistent members of our team. Right? If we have a different member come in every single week, the level of care, the level of knowledge goes down.
Thank you. Councillor Crick?
Thanks. I think most of my questions were asked and answered here, but I was just going to say, I think you guys are doing a great job out there. So that's, my questions all got answered listening, so
Yeah.
great job.
Like the CSP agreement that Kinnisu Ridge had was one of the best in Canada. Before we decided not to use CSP, we actually contacted the Alberta and Yukon president, Mike, and had a conversation with him and basically tried to get on the same page. Mike's response was, it's unfortunate the way we are, and he would support either way. So the zone president for Yukon, Alberta, basically sympathized with our situation. And, Doug mentioned that CSP volunteers at 230 ski hills across Canada. They absolutely do. There's also 75 ski hills that they do not have partnerships and agreements with. And that number has been growing since the early 2000s. Just ski hills want more consistent support with their patrons. They want to have the same guy on a Monday, the same guy on a Saturday, so that they are more consistent.
All right, thank you, gentlemen. Councillor Sipchik?
Yeah, having CSP patrol, does it change, if we let them go, will it change our rates with our insurance provider or anything? Is there any
Nope.
Don't have
drawbacks?
them right now.
Everything will stay the same. We are under no legal obligation to use CSP. We can use our own paid patrols that will be advanced first aid.
So these volunteers that are with CSP, we'll still keep a communication going with them, dialogue, we can
definitely keep
use them.
communication with them, and if anything changes in our operation, we could definitely have them back in the future.
Okay, thank you.
We don't have them right now.
No.
Yeah. All right, any other questions or comments? Yeah, Councillor
It
Swiger.
was a question. Yeah, so I don't really know who these guys were, but it doesn't, have you had the hard discussions with those two guys? Because it was a great presentation, but it sounds like they're kind of pleading to council to, get some support to maintain, but I got to assume you've had some hard discussions with them?
We absolutely have. We spoke with Doug, with Alex. Alex and Doug were basically the two patrol leaders from the Cold Lake region. We spoke with Richard, who was the previous Edmonton zone chief before Jeremy took over this year. He was in office till April 1st this year. We also had phone conversations, meeting conversations at Kinnessoo Ridge with Alex, and their patrol leader made a comment that he knows how to get rid of people from organizations. He's been in the federal government for 40 years. Little things like that.
Okay, no, I appreciate it. You guys are doing a great job out there, and so I'm sure you're going to make the right decision, so thank you.
Thanks, okay, that's good. Just looking for a motion now as information. Yeah, thank you, Councillor Crick, for making that motion thanks, guys. That council accepts presentation by Doug Milley, Canadian Ski Patrol, providing information regarding the contribution of the Canadian Ski Patrol to Kinnessoo Ridge over the years as information. Any discussion on this, gentlemen? Seeing none, I think we had enough discussion, I guess. I'll call for the vote. Okay, that's carried. We have another at 10, but we're going to just postpone that for 5-10 minutes here. We're going to take a break. Thank you. Okay, welcome back. Apologize, Trevor, for we just had a longer thing there and we just needed a break. So thank you. So come on up. Go ahead.
Go ahead. Okay. Well, thank you, MD Council, for a chance to share with you today. My name is Trevor Shafrick, and I'm a member of an advocacy group called KLPL. That stands for Keeping Lakeland Politics Local. And we'd like to start by just thanking our council for this opportunity to share some of our research related to the Federation of Canadian Municipalities, which we'll refer to as the FCM throughout the remainder of the presentation. Just before I go any further, do you guys were you given a one-page summary of what we're looking at? Okay, so yeah. This is just essentially an expansion of that. As you are most likely aware, this municipality holds membership with the FCM, which in our mind is not only acceptable, but intuitive to us that our elected municipal government would participate in an organization that is meant to benefit municipal governments and indirectly their residents, us. Just want to emphasize what we want to talk about today is in no way a criticism of MD or the council. It's a concern for the MD and the council. So hopefully that comes out in what we shared today. We're concerned that the FCM has departed from its expressed mandate. So a little bit of background here. The FCM has existed for over 100 years under a number of names, and it was designed to be a way for municipal governments to bring their concerns to the federal government. But as we're surveying the publications of the FCM and some of its affiliates, our concern is that the FCM has come to operate more dominantly in the opposite direction, as a way for federal and possibly even global interests to promote and maybe even dictate in some cases their agendas to municipal representatives. This constitutes, in our mind, a circumvention of provincial jurisdiction, and it violates the ethos of our Constitution as a federalist nation. So we want to share our findings with you so that you can make an informed decision on our behalf as to whether or not further involvement in the FCM is actually in the best interest of your electorate. So no conspiracy, no speculation here. Everything that we're going to share comes right off the FCM website. And one of the FCM's primary partnerships is with an international organization commonly known as ICLEI. That's an acronym, ICLEI, which stands for the International Council for Local Environmental Initiatives. I just want to point out quickly there that this is an international council, not even a federal or a national one. So if the FCM is created to carry municipal concerns to the federal government, it should surprise us somewhat that one of the FCM's primary partners, sponsors, is an international council of any kind. It seems to contradict the entire premise for the inception of the FCM. And in our mind, it gets a little worse than that. So ICLEI has partnered with the Government of Canada to create a program called the Partners for Climate Protection. They often abbreviate that PCP, maybe you've heard of it. And while we affirm ventures that promote ecological sustainability, we object to the notion that a national government has partnered with an international lobby group, that's ICLEI, to use the FCM to influence you guys, municipal government. I want to read you a direct quote from the FCM website under their subpage, the PCP. It says, quote, municipal governments like yours influence or control half the sources of Canada's greenhouse gas emissions. You're also on the front lines of responding to severe weather events and other impacts of climate change. By taking action, you have the opportunity to save money in municipal operations, lower energy costs for residents and businesses, and increase investment in the local economy. The Partners for Climate Protection program from ICLEI and FCM helps your municipality do its part. It consists of a 5-step milestone framework that guides you as you take action against climate change by reducing emissions in your municipality, end quote. So notice that they've already decided what the problem is, that they have the solution, and that they assume that you, by virtue of your membership in the FCM, have an obligation to implement their 5-step program in order to, quote, do its part, in their words. So the FCM reveals in this quote that they no longer see themselves as your advocate to the federal government. That's the stated claim of the FCM. Rather, that they work for the Government of Canada and ICLEI. They work federally and internationally, and they see you as their labor force. So if the PCP has correctly identified both the problem and the solution for climate change, maybe we could say doing their bidding would be noble. After all, maybe it's okay to obey a dictator if the dictator's good, right? But we're uncomfortable with both of those assumptions. First of all, we simply don't believe that there is an international scientific consensus about some of the beliefs that ICLEI takes to be scientific fact. The actual scientific papers published by the official UN IPCC, the Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change, simply do not say what the mainstream media and these interest groups are claiming that they say. Anthropogenic carbon dioxide is statistically insignificant compared with other natural phenomena, chiefly the ocean itself, and the IPCC documents acknowledge that explicitly. Second, even if their claims were supported by even their own science, which they aren't, we're not comfortable with the assumption that our local elected representatives can be told that because they're members of the FCM, they can be dictated to by national and international governments. We elected you guys because we trust you to make local decisions for us. And we hope that you're not being pressured to conflate global agendas with local ones, hence our title, Keeping Lakeland Politics Local. Because we can't vote for the UN, we can't vote for ICLEI, we can only vote for you. So what are we asking for specifically today? First of all, I want to be clear, we're not demanding that you terminate your membership with the FCM. We voted for you because we believe that you have something valuable to contribute, not only to us, but maybe even in the broader arena of municipal governance. Maybe you have something to share with the world. So if you choose to retain that membership, despite the awareness that it's violating not only provincial jurisdiction, but its own stated mandate, then we would at least hope that you're going to use your presence and your influence there to protect not only our municipality, but all Canadian municipalities from what we see as globalist objectives predicated on a distortion of their own science. And if there's any question or concern there, we're happy to expound on that idea as well. But regardless of whether you stay or go, we would respectfully ask Municipal Council for the following. Number one, please take like 10 minutes to survey the FCM website for yourself to verify that what we are sharing today is factual, and just familiarize yourselves with all the implications of being an FCM member. Number two, please calculate the total financial cost of this membership, including the annual FCM membership fee, the registration and travel costs of sending delegates to their conferences, and the cost of supporting the initiatives that they're saying that you ought to do your part. And then just discuss amongst yourselves whether there really is an adequate return on investment to local taxpayers. Just weigh the numbers. I think the total number is bigger than maybe we realize when we actually add it up. Number 3, please consider investigating the growing counter perspective on chief causes of climate change. At your request, we would happily provide you with resources from a growing number of climatologists who are risking their credentials to get the UN to just respect their own document, really. Like we're not talking about different science. We're talking about scientists saying, your scientist said this, but the media isn't saying it. That they would respect the actual findings of their own IPCC research, rather than the distortions of data that are widely publicized by global organizations like ICLEI and PCP. Some of the most vocal opponents of the current climate change narrative were actually signatories in the IPCC documents. And their findings were very different than what we hear in regular media. No, and fourth and finally, we'd ask that any of you who are running as incumbents in the upcoming municipal election articulate publicly your position on the primary causes of climate change. What you think about this is going to influence your stance on many other ethical and even economic issues. And these beliefs will affect how you make other political and economic decisions. So while you're all as entitled to your personal beliefs, just as much as I am to mine, I have lots of personal beliefs and personal beliefs about climate change. I think voters have the right to know what those beliefs are before they go to the polls, because what you believe there will affect many other decisions you would make. And so just as a point of interest, several rural Alberta counties have already looked into this. They've done this job already, and it led them to conclude that their best course of action was to terminate their membership with the FCM. These include the County of Wheatland, the County of Stettler, and most recently the County of Vermilion River. And they're pretty public about their concerns and why they did it, and we'd be happy to provide you with their official withdrawal letters if you're interested. But here's the bottom line. We know you, we trust you, and that's why you were elected by a majority of your electorate. But we do not know or trust the national and international players that now we believe have commandeered the FCM and have caused it to stray from its original mission. So we would ask you to either consider severing those ties or at least to commit yourself to bringing the FCM back to its roots. And we'd like to just thank you again for representing us and our elected municipal, as our municipal government, and we would welcome any questions that you have either now or later. Thank you.
Thank you. Any questions, gentlemen? Councillor Crick, then Deputy Reeve Scarson.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, you mentioned the IPCC. What was that acronym for?
The IPCC is the Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change. So 20-odd years ago, the UN said everybody's crying that we are destroying the world with too much carbon dioxide. So they did a pretty extensive research project, over 3,000 signatories on that document, in which time they concluded that yes, there is an atmospheric increase of carbon dioxide. Yes, humans are a player, but to the tune of about the 10% of the variation over the last 100 years, even with all the industry. So they're not denying, they're not climate change deniers. They're saying, yes, the climate's changing. Yes, we were a part of that, but they're saying there are some obvious players like water. 80% of all greenhouse gases is water vapor, and that 80% of the carbon dioxide variation is coming from the oceans, and another 15% from volcanoes. We're doing virtually nothing. We hardly even register. So that was the IPCC.
Yeah, and just my other point, it's more of a, not really a question, though, it's just there's a lot of people here and listening up for the FCM, so I have gone to those conferences, and yes, I acknowledge there's a cost to them. There's they have resolution sessions where municipalities bring resolutions and they ask to lobby the government, so there is some lobbying going both ways. Some of those resolutions, actually a lot of them are just kind of way out in left field, and as a result of me going to the conferences, I've got up in front of 2,000-3,000 people sometimes at those conferences and spoke in opposition to some of those resolutions where if I wasn't there, if the MD wasn't represented, then they might just be rubber stamped by the majority of the municipalities that are there. So I hear your concerns that, yes, it's expensive. And honestly, I've gone to some of the conferences. I'm not sure if it's if it's better to boycott or to go and speak up. I don't really know. But when I have gone, I have spoke up. And my last thing is, I think the Ponoka County, I'm not sure, I heard that they'd pulled out of FCM as well, but I don't know that for a fact. So just a thought. Thanks.
Thank you. Deputy Reeves Carson.
Yeah, I have a few points. I was at the last FCM as well, my first one in quite a few years, and I agree with a lot with Josh said about it. At the end, I probably thought it was pretty pointless for us to be there.
Okay.
We have, the MD has been pulled out of the FCM previously.
Okay.
And, yeah, and now we're back in it, but I'm probably not opposed to pulling out of the FCM again. And I've said this in my report after the FCM conference was over, but I think the next one is a pretty important one for us to be at.
Okay.
Because it is in Edmonton.
Okay.
Right? And I think it's an opportunity for all the rural municipalities in Alberta to be there and really showcase to the east, what clean energy actually looks like, right? And I think that I think that we have to kind of get away from, saying, listen, let's make our oil, but let's start saying this is actually what clean energy is, right? Because we heard a lot about that at this last one was we need to switch to clean energy. And it's like, yeah, we do. And we're making it right here. So, I mean, I think it's a real opportunity next year and I hope next council really kind of presses the local FCM guys the organizers to, hey, let's use this as an opportunity. And then from there, like I said, we'll see how that kind of plays out. But Josh is right as well. I mean, if you're not there, what do they say? If you're not at the table, you're on the menu, right? So if you're, if we need to have people, and I'll give kudos to Josh, he was up there at the mic as often as he could be, representing, and we all had our, we love Alberta Oil T-shirts on every day and all that stuff. So it was, the Alberta representation is pretty high, I thought.
Okay.
And but I'll just kind of reiterate too. I've been on council for 8 years, and I don't ever remember a time where we said, well, what would FCM do in this case, right? When we make a decision. So, I get what you're saying. I don't really feel like it's been a major factor in any decisions we've made here over the years.
Yeah.
But you're right. It's what are they there for, and are they doing the right things? And I'm not sure if they are, right? So, thank you.
I'll go with Councillor Slipchik and, go ahead.
I just want to make a comment about FCM. I've gone to a couple conferences, and it is left field. But I've had some good debates with people from other areas that are and we get talking, and then I'm hoping some of those talks that they start thinking differently too. So I believe us going there, we keep pushing their narrative against this. And as well, it's good to keep an eye on the hen house. And watch what's going on there and be able to come back and be aware of what they're trying to do. So I know there's a cost in there, but we've kind of also realized that, and not everybody goes there. Like we minimize the amount of our cost when we go. So I think it's good and get the report back from those ones that do attend. So I think it's good to keep an eye on them.
Okay.
And then instead of just stepping away.
Thank you, Councillor Crick.
Yeah, so we're also part of an association called the RMA, which is Rural Municipalities of Alberta. And that organization is made up of all the 69 rural municipalities in Alberta. They have a tendency, I guess, to think a lot more like-minded like us because they're rural Albertans. Our council, I put forward a resolution here, and our council took it to RMA, asking the RMA as a whole to withdraw from FCM, because we figured if all the rural municipalities withdrew from FCM, that would be a big boycott that would really get their attention, right? And I think we had to get 60% for it to pass as a resolution. We got 59%.
Oh, wow.
So we were short by a couple votes. But the majority of the rural municipalities in Alberta did see that, hey, there's a point there, and what you guys are saying is accurate. We don't dispute that anything's accurate you're saying. Our debate here has been, is it worth it? Because we recognize that we're spending some money to go, but is it, you know, if we weren't there, the energy comes up as the Deputy Reeve said a lot. They label it as dirty oil. We heard that term in Ottawa quite a bit, and
Right.
we're trying to think like, well, it's not dirty oil. We clean up like Fort McMurray. They clean it. It's cleaner when they're done than when they started, right? So there is some advantages both ways, but I'm certainly open. You know, anybody can call me up anytime and discuss. I think we all are open that way.
Yeah. Yeah, you want to talk to that? Go ahead.
Just if I can
Yeah.
respond, and it's, Councillor Crick and I have had a number of conversations, and it actually influenced us to sort of adjust our request, because initially our thought was just get out of the hen house. But I take your point, Deputy Reeve, that sometimes it's better to have a foot in the door and at least know what everybody's being told, than just to boycott everything that you don't necessarily agree with fully. And so that's why we're not saying we even are sure. You guys have the insider advantage there. We don't know what else is said. Maybe there are other advantages to the MD to being a part of it. I guess if our heart is maybe just, we want to put it on your radar that we're concerned, that we see that there's been a little bit of an infiltration here, and so we're hoping just by our having shown up, talked here for 15 minutes, you'll go there next time you go. I'm not saying don't go, but go kind of with your eyes open, watching for that potential conflict of interest.
Okay, Deputy Reeves, Carson.
Yeah, 100%. And, you know, I'll put another example out there, because at the RMA in the spring, it was, you know, we had an opportunity to actually sit in the room with some FCM leaders, and it was the president.
Yes.
Yeah. You know, just our council, and I think there was 3 or 4 of them. And we expressed a lot of these same concerns to them, and how we felt our voices weren't being heard, and in the direction of FCM. And, you know, we wouldn't have had that opportunity if we weren't a member of FCM either, right? So that's kind of a prime example of, yeah, you got to be there, right? So.
Right. Okay.
And they know how we feel. They definitely know how we feel. So not that it means they're going to do anything about it, but they know how, you know, rural Alberta feels for sure.
Sure.
Yeah, thanks for mentioning that, Darcy. I was going to bring that up as well. I'm pretty proud of my council. When we go to the FCMs, I haven't been to them all, but the ones I have, you know, we've brought shirts that said, you know, I love Alberta Oil, front and back. We walked. I remember we even were at a hotel, and we gave a young man one there. I think Ben went and got a T-shirt from the room, because we had a bunch of them to give away. And you know, he's from Toronto. He doesn't know, so we explained what we're all about, and I'm very proud. And like Darcy just said about that meeting, I didn't have a lot to say, but my council really went at it, and they told them exactly what our area is about. So I was very proud of them.
Okay.
Also, this area, the MD of Bonneville, we tried to hire a couple planes from one of these FCMs. I think it was out of Saskatoon, right? Calgary, out of Calgary, to fly people here from Eastern Canada. And we went through the RMA, and I thought we had it in the bag. And I don't know if some big boys up top got in the way, but we were going to actually have planes fly even into this area or to McMurray to show them what it's all about, to show the people from different parts of Canada what we're all about here, and how our oil is cleaner than everybody believes it is.
Yes.
And you guys can reassure that my council here it's been good. Like they ask questions. They don't just check the boxes. They probably are against most of the resolutions there at the FCM, especially Josh here. He really gets up there and goes at her.
Okay,
So-
good. Well, thank you very much for hearing us out.
Well, thank you for your presentation. Any other questions, gentlemen? All right, we'll take another break, guys. Thank you. All right, thank you. I don't believe we made a motion yet to accept that as information. Would someone like to do that? Thank you, Councillor Crick, for making that motion that council accepts the presentation by Trevor regarding his concerns with the municipal partnership with Federation of Canadian Municipalities, FCM, as information. Any discussion on this, gentlemen? I'm seeing none. I'll call for the vote. He says yes. That's carried, thank you. And I believe we still have one more from you, right? Two more from you? Okay. Go
Good
ahead.
morning. Good morning again, Reeve and Council.
Morning.
Before you, I have policy number C2A062, MD Industrial Incentive Grant Program Policy. This is a new submission. The policy for the Industrial Incentive Program was reviewed by administration August 2025. During the review, administration drafted the proposed policy to provide clarity associated with the retention, attraction of business, and the appropriately zoned existing areas within the MD as part of an industrial infill process to enhance development opportunities and to generate revenue for the MD. Attached for your review is the grant policy. In summary, the statement, the municipal district of Bonnyville aspires to provide non-residential tax, property tax incentives for investment attraction, economic development, diversification, and expansion. The purpose of the policy is to establish clear guidelines for the administration and management of the Industrial Incentive Grant Program to promote the development, conversion, or revitalization of non-residential properties within existing industrial zoning within the MD. I'm sure you don't want me to read the definitions. If you'd like, I can provide a summary, or we can go over the policies point by point. What is your pleasure, Mr. Reeve?
I think we'll just ask a few questions and you can answer a few questions. Give us a couple answers. How's that sound?
Okay, one of the things I will bring to your attention immediately is obviously the tax incentive itself. The tax incentive grant is available for new construction or portions of properties not previously assessed that meet the Industrial Incentive Grant Program criteria as follows. And so for the first 3 years, there would be a 100% abatement, or 75% for the fourth year and 50% for the fifth year. And just to talk about that, those numbers were derived from taking a poll of what was happening both within our region and within the province, and then ramping it up to ensure that we were the most competitive when it came to rates within the region.
Great idea.
Thank you. Okay, Councillor Swigert?
Yeah, just to clarify, 100% for the first three. When I started reading, I thought 100% of what? So it's 100% reduction in your so you pay no taxes for the first.
If you were to read further, and that's in the points
further,
there.
But yeah.
Okay, so what the goal is for new assessment, right? So the portion that you would be rebated, right, would be for anything that hasn't previously been assessed, right? So if you have new construction, yes, for the new construction of a new start, it would be for our portion of taxes, right? Obviously from the municipal portions that are collected.
Yeah.
For the other ones where it is an addition or renovation, it is not for all of the property or the building, it's only for the new portion thereof. And so there's even further stipulations so that we're not necessarily giving grants to people who are adding, bathrooms to their property. There's a criteria in here that it says it has to be 25% increase in assessment at the very least, right?
Okay. And then 7A, just as a correction to it, para 7B, it just says not to exceed, it says 5 million, but then it says million, so 5 million is 5 billion.
Yeah,
So
okay.
scratch out the word million.
Thank you for that.
Yeah.
And the intent for that is, as the policy grows and we become more proficient at attracting these businesses, that a business or $500 million renovation is something that we would treat as a major project, and then perhaps create a different policy or handle it individually, correct? Does that make sense?
Yeah, I think it's a great policy. Yeah, I'm sure you've looked into it and you realize that it was probably, there was a need for it, and I think it may help.
Yes, correct. We've looked at some other municipalities that have used this as a tool in their toolbox, and it certainly works. There are examples. The Industrial Heartland has a program similar to this. Sturgeon County has one. Wheatland County has one. And so we did a lot of research throughout the province. So we even looked outside of the province to see where some other jurisdictions were doing extremely well. And so we used that as guidance.
Thank you. Councillor Crick, then Deputy Reeves Carson.
Yeah, so I think the intent there is good, the policy, kind of like it myself. My only concern is, like, there's a lot of oil activity, stuff that's gonna just come here anyways without the policy. Are we gonna give a huge tax break to industries that's just gonna show up anyways, right? So let's say an oil company wants to expand and put in another 100 pads. Well, then are they gonna apply for this for a tax exemption because it's an exemption, right? And that's kind of where I wouldn't want to
Okay,
necessarily see that.
so it states here that maximum new construction shall not exceed $5 million. So if your concern is that the larger projects are going to get certain exemptions, they wouldn't. They would have to be negotiated.
Okay.
Or did I misunderstand your
Okay,
comment?
so let's say an oil company's going to expand a project for $4.5 million. Are they going to apply for an exemption then and then get an exemption on that $4.5 million assessment?
They have the right to apply for that exemption?
Okay, and then would that come to council or administration, or like would we be, you know what I'm saying? Like if there's industry that's coming here anyways, right? Price of oil goes up, which it fluctuates, then we don't want to just be like rubber stamping exemptions because industry's expanding in the area, right? That's my concern if we're
Okay,
understanding.
so there's the criteria that is set out here, and they would make an application, and it would have to be, the applications have to be approved, absolutely. It is always at the will of council, and it says in the policy here that they can decline, accept, or present an alternative, right? It says it in here,
Yeah.
that you have that right to alter that as council.
Okay.
Does that satisfy, like, we're, you know, we can change this. This is always at the will of council. This is sort of
that's
a
point
best
10
practice.
Point 10 you're referring to, the MD reserves the right to accept. Yeah. So would they come to council then, or would that be handled
So
administratively?
the applications would come to us, we would review them, and then we would bring them to council.
So every tax exemption will come through council the way the policy is right now?
Yes, we can amend that.
Maybe then in the future we would amend it, right? I'm not saying one way or other.
Okay, well, I
Just curious.
wasn't
I'm
sure
just
if
asking.
you were making a suggestion or if you were simply just asking a question.
For now, I think if it's coming through council, then that satisfies me because somebody wants to, expand a little bit for $4.5 million on a business that would be coming to the area anyways, then we don't need to offer an incentive for something that's already going to be here. right?
So yes, and I think what I'm hearing you say, and I just want to be clear, is that businesses are going to come here anyway. There's always a certain amount of businesses, yes, that will come here. Yeah. This policy is created to increase that potential.
Okay, sounds good.
Thank you. Deputy Reeve, and then Councillor Fadeev.
Yeah, I had some of the same concerns about the oil producers, let's say, as far as, so linear taxes is off the table, like, 'cause that's not included in any of this exemptions, right? And would it be easy for them to, let's say, they did want to put up, 5 new pads to say, okay, we're now making this into 5 different projects instead of 1 because it'll be below the, you know what I mean? And I wouldn't want it to have to come to council for any of these. So what I mean by that is that the policy should be black or white. It's either good or you're not good. I don't understand when it would come to council and when we would vote, no, this doesn't qualify. Do you know what I mean? So what circumstance would you say, okay, this has to come to council because of what reason?
Right, so the policy isn't written to be subjective in that perspective. It's if you have got your development permits, if your taxes are paid, and if your criteria is 25% new development or completely new development, you fit, right? So, but this policy on this section here is that if council wanted to interject and change something or prevent something, they could. And just so that I'm clear, when we're talking about this, when we want to be fair, if we were to change the policy to exclude the energy sector, that could be problematic as well.
Well, I'm not suggesting that we change it for the energy sector, but I just don't want it to be a tool that they could use to manipulate the way they do business in order to be tax exempt for 3 years as well, right? Because really, I'm sure they can, create any kind of project that will, hey, listen, we can be under 5 million on everything because we'll consider this a new build and this a new build and this a new build. If they're putting up, like, let's say an MCC and then the manifold, and you know what I mean? So at what point, like, how are we going to regulate that kind of thing?
So, my initial response, without giving it any thought from an anecdotal perspective, is to take a look at what the average project would be and the time associated with it and the money they would save by identifying 20 projects versus 10 projects and change the total to 10 million. But then the idea then goes out the door that we're trying to create a opportunity for us to deal with those larger projects and speak to them individually so that we can woo them and not just do it from a paper perspective, but understand what their project is and what the impact is, and then assess it and then create the proper incentive for them, right? So this is the first step, right? We can create a second policy, or we can change this policy, but when you change the total to under $5 million, then it becomes hard to administer. And if you put it over $10 million, then it kind of becomes an arbitrary thing as well. So we have to be comfortable with what we're doing.
Yeah, I agree. And I think this is a good policy for sure. I just don't want it to be taken advantage of by, creative accountants, let's say, right? So when it comes to determining value of different projects that energy companies are going to put forward, right? So that's my point. And I would like to also so there's nothing to say about if a company buys an existing building and doesn't renovate at all, because I know the town does something where if they do that, and even leasehold improvements, and it may not be 25%, but they hold their taxes for up to 5 years. So it might be, you're not paying more, but your assessment doesn't jump every year.
Right, and so in that regard, I would suggest that we have two different policies. This policy grew out of council's need to infill, right? To say that we're not building a bunch of new subdivisions and that we want new construction. It wasn't about necessarily keeping a business here for this purpose or to identify those businesses that bought existing properties. This was about an existing business that was going to expand their construction, renovate, improve, or build a completely new building. Now, we can tailor the policy or create a second policy, but the focus on this from the beginning came out of the original regional partnership we had with the town, the business and industry growth strategy, and remarks that we had from the site selectors in their exit survey, right?
Yeah, I guess I don't know how much new construction we'll see as opposed to buying existing buildings, because there's plenty available and fixing them up kind of thing, right? So, and then lastly, have you considered this at all for new home construction?
If you'll indulge me, I can certainly have a quick response to that. When we take a look at our new building starts, in residential starts, and we look at the residential starts from Cold Lake and the town of Bonnyville, there's a significant amount of people already purchasing new homes in our area versus purchasing them in the other municipalities. And so I would ask, what question are we solving? What problem are we solving? Is it that we want lower house costs? Do we want more houses, more local contractors working? Because we already have an abundance of subdivided land, and we are already out building homes compared to the other municipalities. So certainly something that we would take a look at, but we would need to know very specifically what problem we're trying to solve. Right? Because I do know that the other communities, one has 2 rebates where they talk about building and construction per door, and then an MGA actual tax rebate versus the grant for building, and the other community just has the grant for building. So really, we have to define what our purpose is before I can respond to that question.
So are you saying then that there's a need or there's a problem right now with people not wanting to build new industrial or new commercial sites in the MD?
That's part of the issue. Plus, we're not necessarily competitive from the perspective of costs and services that we deliver according to the end user. That's not my reflection on what we're providing from the administration today.
Compared to the town and the city, you're saying?
Correct, right. And then also we would take into account some of the things that are going on in Vegreville and Vermilion and Lloydminster as our competitors. We know that that currently in the last 12 to 18 months in the town of Vermilion, they've sold, I think, 12 or 13 lots in their industrial subdivision. We have nowhere near that uptake in any of our subdivisions. So they're doing something different than we are, and it's working for them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I guess this last year, are you looking for us to pass this policy today?
If you feel comfortable with it, it's your will, I would appreciate it, absolutely.
Okay, thank you. Councillor Fadeev and then
Yeah.
Councillor Sipchik.
Thanks. I think it's a very unfair comparison, Vermilion versus us. They're on Highway 16. They have a main track line, right? It's a lot different. I would like to see this policy written in very, I guess, clear messaging, and where, what I like to see is actually incentivize new businesses coming into town, like a new energy sector, something that is an anchor to the area. It is very unfair with the way this policy is written that if you're in let's call it energy, but the oil business, there's a lot of people that have been here for years and years that have built a building 30, 20, 15, 10 years ago that have not got these subsidies. And I think it's very unfair to them where they've spent their money already. And now we're saying, well, too bad you didn't build now instead of 10 years ago. I think they're here for a reason. I think we need to come up with a policy that's going to incentivize new innovative businesses that are here. Battery stations, you're looking at possibly a new energy, say nuclear, something that is an anchor that's going to be here for a long time. I've also seen policies like this go sideways where somebody comes in, gets a tax incentive, and as soon as 5 years are done, they're out the door. And we discussed this, right? So we're Dell like in Edmonton, I was there, and yeah, they came in, they got a lot of tax concessions, and 5 years down the road, they left. And now it's, the building's not sold. It is, taxed differently when it's empty. And now it becomes, I guess another liability for somebody else. So I think we just have to be careful with it. I think we're definitely in the right direction, but kind of what Councillor Crick and Deputy were saying, where, there's going to be some creative accounting and creative messaging going on with that part of it. With most oil companies that are here, they have a format where the taxes are in there. They know where they know what they're paying. There's a reason why we've seen that growth here is because the oil is here. So I think a lot of the end users are based on site location. The reason why they're in it, like in the MD, is because their site location that they're servicing is closer. So now they're not going back and forth. So a lot of things, but for me, it would be number eligibility criteria 1A is what I have, what I struggle with.
Thank you. You want to answer that?
Reeve through to Councillor Fadeev. So in an effort to move the process along and to recognize these valid points. Going back to the fact that this was something that grew out of an infill process to attract new businesses, would you see it beneficial to have two different policies, one as an attraction policy and one as a retention policy? Or would you see folding your suggestions into this particular policy? Because during this process, I reached out to the assessment team and to the finance team to talk about how it impacts our delivery of services. And so the reality was, when we were thinking of it as a new business attraction program, we had said that doing the same thing over and over again and expecting, different results is kind of crazy. So we had to do something different. And the thought was that an empty piece of land creates no revenue generation forever if there's no new development on it, right? If we take a hit on it for 3 years and we have it for the remaining 25 or 30 years, we've still now got 27 years worth of revenue we would have never had if we did nothing, right? And so we can use that same approach and respect the business community and say, we value you for being here because we're bringing in this new policy. But then what I have to do is I have to go back to assessment and administration and talk about how that impacts our budgeting for the next 20 years. This particular process that we came up with here was a very simple process where they get no grant money until the following year and all the criteria is met. So we're not having to do any transfer of funds immediately, or that we have to speculate on what that amount is. Once the previous year is completed, we know what that rebate amount is, so we now know how to deal with it in the budgeting process, right? So this was in our estimation, the simplest way to start the process. If there is a will to do it another way, we certainly can do that.
Yeah, thanks for that. It's insightful. Yeah, I think, my concerns are kind of saying what Deputy Reeve Carson was saying is, you get to that point where I think almost like pads and things like that should be excluded from it. I do not want it going back to council saying, oh yeah, and again, we want to have the message to be clear out there. So this way, we got to look, oh yeah, you didn't make the grant because under subsection 3-5B/whatever, it has to be clear, and I don't think we want to change on that clarity. This way, when somebody reads it, they go, okay, I can do this, and I'm going to build there for these reasons, not disclaimer, council can shut it down. I want it to be clear messaging.
Okay, so, yeah, and I guess I have to be clear about that particular statement too. When talking with senior administration, we looked at sort of our liability on certain things. And so what could happen, hypothetically, is that this council passes this, right? And then a year later, the next council says, we don't like it. And then some businesses go, the only reason I came here is because I thought in my business plan development after 3 years or 4 years, I would stay here for the rest of my business life because it gave me that competitive advantage. Now you've taken that away from me, right? And so then we had that particular issue to deal with too. So that's the reason why this was was presented this way, is that we have to make sure that there's a clause in there that says if from budget reasons, we can't run this program. We lost a bunch of revenue from some of our largest taxpayers, and now we can't afford to do this because we want to continue to deliver the same level of service. We had to have, we thought, a clause in here that allowed us to say at any point in time, we can stop this program. So I'm certainly, maybe we have an ad hoc committee where we have industry people come in with council and give us some recommendations or advice. But this is the starting point, and this is sort of the best practices that other municipalities have used in Western Canada.
Yeah,
and we need to make it local for sure.
Yeah, I'm totally agreeing with whether council will support the program or not. That's fine. That's yay or nay. But I think it has to be clear that if a certain application is made, it's not based on the will of council.
Thank you, Scott. So I hear council. We'll take it away and we'll give it a good review. I see several points that allows us not to be taken advantage of and still advantage for people to come here. Yes.
Counselor Subject, go
Yeah,
ahead.
this 100% for the first 3 years, is there anything in there about occupancy, that until occupancy, or?
Yeah, so we have stuff in here that says that the construction has to be completed.
Yeah.
Right? And so if you're going to complete something, I assume you're going to occupy it, right? Like, we don't have anything in here that says you have to have so many employees or that you have to show us your HR or your payroll or whatever. We don't have anything in here. I mean, there are programs that use that model, but then usually what happens is it evolves into a rebate based on how many employees that you have. And I don't know that that's something that we ever discussed.
Okay, and then I'm concerned of mine about 100% tax rate. Like, I'm for tax breaks to draw a business in. But if you got like a trucking company, oil haul company, say, we already got 3. He comes in, he can work for 3 years, a lot less taxes it pays. He can operate that truck a lot cheaper. He'll reflect that in his trucking. He could end up hurting our current businesses in the community then. How do we prevent, you know what I'm saying? How we prevent that?
Okay, Reeve, through to Councilor Subchuk. So we here in Alberta believe in free enterprise.
Correct.
And we usually don't dictate the premise of who gets to compete against whoever, right? So when we enter into a policy like this, we make the decision to let the free market take care of that. And if there is something that seems particularly off base, we can identify that through policy, but we tend not to try and get involved in day-to-day operations of business. So I'm open to it, but certainly most of the other jurisdictions don't have what I think sounds like a bit of a protectionist approach to the incentive.
I'm just asking. Okay, and one more question is on the homes, their housing tax incentive. I believe with that they will go hand in hand with trying to draw businesses in, because we need homes too. And if all these future developments go forward that they're talking about, we're gonna have a shortage. So I think we gotta be looking at this too, a tax incentive for new homes and developers to come in and build these homes. Because we can't rely just on the town and Cold Lake to build these homes.
Yep, if that's the direction from council, I would gladly do that.
Counselor,
At that point, yeah.
are you,
Yeah.
Counselor Swager, then Deputy Reeves Carson?
No, I like the program. I like what you've done, and it wasn't just, off the cuff. You've done lots of research with other communities, and I don't think the oil companies, I honestly don't think they're that morally low or, have these ethical standards that they would try to split a big contract. I'm hoping.
Is he new here?
Well, we can't do that, Darcy. We can't have put out a tender for a $4 million project and say, well, no, we're going to split this into 10 pieces because we want to apply for some grant. We can't do that. So I'm surprised that you think the oil companies could.
My job is putting tenders together.
No, I know, but so they're going to build 4 pads and they're going to say, well, we're going to actually build 4 separate pads so each one can apply. I mean, I get what you're saying. I just think that's kind of an oil company to do that. I kind of don't think they would. And if you think they would, then.
I don't think, I know.
So they will do that. Okay. I just didn't think they were legally allowed to do that. But so then, if they're going to do that, then we write it into this.
They can tender out anything they want, right? I mean, every building.
Well, we can't do that though, right? If we got a big project we're building, we can't split it into like 4 little contracts. So I don't know how they do it, but if you're guaranteeing us that they're doing that, then we maybe write something in here that,
Well,
whatever.
we should take this back to the committee of the whole and discuss this again, because we're just going round and around here.
Yeah, that's silly. I have one final, and I think it's great what you've done. I'm sure you've done a ton of research. You always do. So that doesn't concern me at all, but there's obviously, we're here to have discussions, right? So the other thing that come to mind is companies that come in, and we see it lots, they have a 3 or 5 year contract with, let's say, an oil company, They come in, they do the work, they're out. So, you know, are they coming in to do a 3-year contract with an oil company and not paying taxes that whole time they're here, right? And then, and you don't have to answer, but these are just things you got to think about. And secondly, what about in that situation, you know, a lot of companies rent or lease their buildings, and so a new company comes in though, rents a building from, you know, this guy here, and says, well, I'm a new company, why don't I apply? They leave because they only have a 3 or 5 year contract. The next company comes in, same thing, oh, we can be tax exempt. So these are just other things that you need to think about, right? I get it, it's new builds and stuff, but a landlord could easily build a building for a new company coming in to do whatever, right? So.
But it's the,
go ahead.
through the Deputy Reeve Scarzan. So this is on land that's registered and to the owner, not the occupant of the building,
Oh,
right?
that changes lots of things then, because
Yeah.
there's a huge number of companies that just lease their buildings from landlords, right?
Right,
Happens-
but
like I'd
when-
say the majority of them are actually.
But when the building is first built, or when the building is added to or renovated or its purpose changed, they can apply for that portion of the grant, right? So if I'm leasing the building, our target was never the leased person. It was the new business that would be generated from either new construction or additions and renovations to those buildings that would be charged to the building owner, not necessarily who's operating inside that building.
Yeah, and I mean, but I'm telling you, like, if a new company's coming in, we're looking to attract new business, I would say a large portion of those people are looking for a place to rent to start, right? So if you're trying to attract business, I think you need to have some sort of, I don't want to say a clause, but some sort of address the fact that a lot of businesses coming in and leasing or renting buildings to operate out of, right? So. Oh, and then lastly, I was just thinking about this as we were talking too, you know, maybe there's a way to incorporate it with how we have the small business tax reduction there, right? Where, you know, maybe that's what it takes to apply for this as well, right? Because it's a point of, you're saying that it's in a reimbursement, right? They go through the first year and then they can apply to be reimbursed for that previous year's taxes. Is that right? Right, so I mean, you might be able to correlate it with small business, keeping it to small business if they're on the registry to be able to apply for their previous year's taxes. And that might be if they're renting or owning or whatever as well, right, so.
Thank you. 2 more, that's it. Councillor Crick and Councillor Subchik.
Okay. Thank you. Yeah, I got a couple of points here. The one is, I heard home incentives, like for building houses and stuff. So my background is building houses, and I have an empty acreage out at Muriel Lake that I want to build on, and spent a couple of years looking for the right piece of land and stuff. But a lot of the problem right now is that construction costs, just the building materials themselves, the construction costs are so high that it's cheaper to buy an existing house that's already built. And I'm totally opposed to us getting into the incentivizing housing. I think it's just stepping into a wasp nest, and it's not going to have any benefit for us in the MD, really. There's plenty of housing out there. If the jobs pick up in the economy, then the housing prices will come up, and then it's actually viable for contractors to start building houses again. The other one was I heard some talk about day-to-day operations, not getting involved in that, and protecting other businesses. And I totally agree with the concerns that we shouldn't have a policy that allows somebody to come in and operate a business less than an existing business, like the trucking was the example, right? So you don't have to reply to that either, just my concerns there. But I think it's a good, I'm all for in getting more business in the MD, and I'm going to make the motion for option 3. But it says meeting of council there. I'll change that to a committee of the whole meeting to bring it back, and just with the concerns that we've heard.
Okay, thank you. Are you okay with that, Don, or you want to?
Yeah, I've got a question. I just want to ask about the Vermilion industrial lot. You said a lot were sold. Councillor Fidel mentioned about the location, but my question is there water and sewer to this industrial park? Does that play a factor in that? To these lots being sold?
I believe it has water. I can't confirm if it has sewer.
Okay. And
I
then
apologize.
we do these tax incentives. we gotta, like, how do we keep something where we got lots of empty lots in industrial parks, that they're built there first prior to a shop being built on every quarter in the MD instead? That we have to keep an eye on that we get our industrial parks filled up.
Thank you. Okay, we have a motion that, Councillor Crick, thank you for making the motion, that Councillor Furs amending policy number C-2A.062 MD Industrial Incentive Grant Program back to administration for additional information regarding programs, guidelines, and applicant eligibility to bring back to a future committee of the whole meeting. Thank you. Any discussion on this? Councillor Crick?
Yeah, just the wording there, it has regarding twice, but.
Yeah, they got her. It's a very important word. One. Keep the capital one. Yes, Councillor Kraviak, go ahead. Any discussion?
There is no committee of the whole till after the election, right?
That's fine.
That's fine.
Okay. Anything else? Any other discussion on this? Okay, and if seeing none, I'll call for the vote. That'll be a bee's nest. That's carried. Thank you. Thank you, Scott. On to the next one, 9.3.3, is that correct?
Yes, Reeve Council, I'm still before you, presenting policy C2A .063 MD Ambassador Program Policy and Committee Terms of Reference. During this review, the policy in question was reviewed by administration July 9th, 2025. During this review, administration drafted the proposed policy providing clarity regarding the recruitment and training of local business owners, operators, and/or community champions to promote and represent the MD of Bonnyville as a place to live, work, and invest. You should have attached the new ambassador policy statement. The Municipal District of Bonnyville seeks to actively engage local business community in promoting the region as a desirable destination for both investment and residency through the sharing of success stories and personal experiences of local stakeholders to highlight specific programs and incentives that resonate with their respective industries and social networks. The purpose of the policy is to establish the guidelines for the administration and management of a voluntary ambassador program. Basically, the bottom line here, folks, is that we would be utilizing people that are comfortable talking about their life and business here to others in an attempt to attract investment and residency. And an example of such is that when we travel outwards to Edmonton or Toronto or wherever, I'm speaking on behalf of the community as a paid person, but quite often when we talk about that fraternity that's business, individuals respect other businesses probably more than I do. I can tell you what I think you want to hear, but the conversation off to the side from business to business would be, say, you know, what's the labor issue? What are taxes like? You know, what's the cost of living? Is there a decent university there? So not only when I'm or other staff members are along, that we can use these folks to solidify our promotion. It's an opportunity if, say, myself or our other staff are in an event in Calgary and there's a very important event also in Edmonton or Lethbridge, that we've got other resources we can deploy. And so the whole goal of it is that we recruit these individuals, We train them and we provide them with speaking notes and material that will extend our capacity to do business attraction.
Okay, go ahead, Deputy Reeve.
Are you talking about like bringing people with you or doing like videos and doing one-pagers and things like that?
So it's actually a combination of all of those things, right? So if you've ever been to the Calgary Stampede, they have their white hat people, right? And so they're not only helping you off the plane during Stampede, or they're not just on the Stampede grounds and telling you, you know, where this event is or whatever, but when they have their entourages coming in from other communities and wanting to be at the Calgary Stampede and do business, they've got residents from Calgary that are escorting these important individuals around and providing them with support and attending these events. So yes, there's definitely people that are providing testimonials and involved in videos, but they're also attending events and shaking hands and doing that on our behalf. They're extending our human resources to be able to support investment attraction. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, it does. I'm just curious. I'm just trying to, like, are you talking about on the road or more so like local events where you bring people in here?
Yeah, so it's a bit of both, but more so probably from just a resources perspective, it would be like, say, for example, when we have summer games, or we did the Site Link, or we would do other events like that that are local. Yes, definitely that's where it would be easier for us to deploy them, and they would be more comfortable to do that. But we also have, and other communities have done this as well, we have expats. So let's say we had a business person that had a trucking company here for 30 years and decided that they were going to take a place in Canmore, right? And so we've got events that we can't attend in Calgary, but we trust this person to speak on our behalf. That person from Canmore, we would activate them to go to this Calgary event on our behalf, right?
All right.
Go ahead. Sorry, I cut you off
Yeah,
there.
no, thanks.
Yeah, go ahead.
I'd like to make the motion to approve this as presented.
Okay, I'll make this motion. Yeah, thank you, Councilor Fidea, for making this motion that council adopts a new policy number C-2A063, MD Ambassador Program Policy as presented. Any discussion? Deputy Reeves Carson.
Do you have a budget item for this, or
Yes, yes, we do. It's approximately, I think it's $2,500 or $2,600 for the first year, right? After that, we'll assess it and identify if that's a relevant number.
like, for an example of someone living in Canmore that you would take to Calgary, would that person be compensated at all? Like, is
Yeah,
it-
so it's a typical volunteer program where we would create a per diem, right? So they're not treated like an employee. They're not going to get mileage or whatever. Obviously, if they're there, they're a volunteer on our behalf, and we give them a per diem.
all right.
Thank you. Any other discussion on this motion? Okay, I'm not seeing any. I'll call for the vote. That's carried.
Thank you.
Welcome.
Mr. Reeve,
Another-
just if council would also like to adopt the terms of reference, that will be a separate motion as well.
Yep, I seen that. Thank you. Would someone like to do that? Yeah, Councillor Sipchick. Thank you for making this motion that council adopts the MD Ambassador Program Committee terms of reference as presented. Any discussion on this motion, gentlemen? Okay, I'm gonna call for the vote then. That's carried. Thank you. On to 9.3.4. It's yours.
Mr. Chair, this is a council request, so I'll let council discuss if they would like the council, the meeting, the whole
Well, I just brought it up. I mean, when I seen the agenda for the committee of the whole meeting, it only included one delegation and one subject, so I just asked if there was value in having the meeting, and we would discuss it at this meeting here, so.
Opening it up. Councillor Fadea, do you have?
Yeah, thanks for the comments. I was gonna let council know that I couldn't make that meeting anyway because I have an important course to go to. So that's 5 days long. So, yeah, but, thanks.
Yeah, and I mean, not everyone here's probably seen the agenda yet, I'm guessing, right? And so there was one BRFA presentation. I think they were talking about their budget. Is that what it was? And then, but they were also scheduled to come after the new council anyways. Is that right? So they'll be here for that. And then the other one was a update on next year's budget talks, right? So which I said I thought we already discussed that we were letting next council discuss that anyways, right? So it's, I just thought we'd bring it up here, and if to council it or not, and there you go.
All right, make a motion.
Well, I'll make the motion to council it. I think you have one written up there, do you?
Yep.
Yeah.
Thank you, Deputy Reeves Carson, for making this motion. The council approves the cancellation committee of the whole meeting scheduled for Tuesday, September 16th, 2025 at 9 a.m. Any discussion on this motion, gentlemen? I'm seeing none. I'll call for the vote. That's carried. Thank you. Correspondence and information.
Thank you, Mr. Chair and Council. I'd like to bring to your attention 10 correspondence and information. We have 10 items. I'd like to bring to your attention 2 of those 10. Item number 1 is 10.2, a letter from Agricultural and Ag Foods Canada, response for regarding the drought in the MD. Second one I'd like to bring to your attention is 10.5, a card from Bonneville and District Chambers of Commerce, a thank you card. That is it for administration.
Thank you. Any discussion or someone like to make a motion? Yeah, thank you. Thank you, Councillor Kraviak, for making the motion to accept the correspondence and information 1 through 10 here. Any discussion on this motion, gentlemen? Okay, seeing none, I'll call for the vote. Okay, that's carried. Thank you. Looking for reports from members of council. Whoever would like to start.
Well, I had a meeting yesterday with the, I can't remember the name of that committee, the doctors recruitment.
Doctor recruitment and, yeah.
Yeah. Anyways, it went well, and, it's, I think it's probably a decent number, but maybe it's not. They're short 3 doctors, but I feel like we've probably had more vacancies than that in the past.
Yep.
And, they have room for 1 pediatrician and 1 anesthesiologist, I think is what they said, in Bonneville at least, so. But yeah, there wasn't a whole bunch else discussed really. But that committee, one thing they noted was that the committee is growing and more people are attending, so it's starting to get some more leverage, so it's been good. So other than that, I know I have a couple meetings scheduled for next week, but I don't have anything else to report, so.
Yeah, thank you on that. Councillor Fadave.
Yeah, thanks. It's just FCSS. Yesterday, first meeting of the season, I guess, here. So just kind of want to quickly read an excerpt from their Coal Lake newsletter that they had. And this is a pretty important win. Some of the things that the FCSS is vitally important on helping out. So on behalf of the Coal Lake and District FCSS and our clients, we'd like to extend our heartfelt thanks to the incredible volunteers and community partners who supported us through another successful tax season. From March 1st to June 1st, our dedicated community volunteer income tax programs volunteers filed 291 income tax returns for low-income individuals with simple tax situations. Thanks to their efforts, clients received a total of just over $2 million in federal and provincial tax refunds and benefits. So again, if they didn't apply for this, there's just less money for them to spend, and it's pretty critical. So yeah, it's just a volunteer base that was there to help people that had a hard time filling out tax applications. Like a leg up for them to keep going. So it's important. But yeah, thanks for that.
Thank you, Councilor.
Yeah, I attended the Clayton Bellamy Foundation for the Arts, the golf and the gala. And then I also attended the Stepping Stones grand opening on this weekend. They had a morning grand opening ceremony and then a gala in the evening. So that's it for me.
Councilor Trevia?
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Reeve. I just have the police committee meeting yesterday. Bonneville RCMP had 2,135 files in May, June, July, 436 traffic offenses. There were 23 impaired, resulted in charges, so not very good. 54 collisions within the MD, and the Bonneville RCMP have 1 hard vacancy, and that'll climb to 3 by the fall. Cold Lake, 2,807 files. They have 3 hard and 5 soft vacancies, and the report said that the total crime was down 10% and property crime down 12%. Public safety, 589 tickets and warnings, 7 for speeding, 3 with uninsured vehicles, 1 officer left in July, and 1 to retire in October, and he's presently on vacation. And there will be 2 new hires coming, 1 from the city of Cold Lake and 1 from Lac La Biche. So that's all from me. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilor Swiger?
Thanks, Mr. Reeve. Yeah, also I'll just mention the Stepping Stones ribbon cutting in Cold Lake, so the women's shelter, women's and family shelter. So, and it's amazing building, 50,000 square feet, for women and their kids. They've got 12 full suites for families, and then they've got like 60 rooms, for beds. And so it's amazing building. It's like, I think they said the biggest or the second building in Cold Lake. So something to, it's there for the need. So it was nice to be at that one. We had a Municorps meeting recently. One of the interesting things I've been trying to get them to do was MG30 application on a section of the trail. So there was an issue around the little community of Edwin where they had lots of dust on the trail. So they actually just finished an MG30 application. And so I asked them to kind of monitor it and see how it worked. And then maybe it could be used sort of throughout the MD, even if we had areas of the trail that we wanted to harden up and kind of control the dust. And so that might work. And apparently they're going to do on September 22nd, Shesho Bay in Councillor Scarson's ward do an MG30 application also on a section of the trail there. So I'd like to see how that works. And because we had been looking several years ago about kind of something like that to enhance our trails in some of our areas that we couldn't afford to pave, but maybe MG30 is a solution to some of that. Municorp's adding a loading ramp, trash bins to our paved parking lot area by the trestle. And so they may reach out to the CAO there and just sort of work with them on doing that. And they talked about Windsor Salt Plant, which is the trail runs through the Windsor Salt Plant property near Heinsberg. Super nice area on the river, and they're thinking about having an opportunity to purchase some of that land. That's kind of a really great site for the trail to attract folks to that one, so they're looking into that. The last item they talked about was there's a bit of a problem with an elk fence and some land, and so they may reach out to the MD to talk about that, because it's kind of property lines and things that are encroaching onto the trail, and anyway, it's a bit of a mix up right now, so they may get some direction from the MD on that one too. That's it. Thank you.
Thank you. Counselor Slipchick.
Nah, I don't really have much. Everybody pretty well covered. I attended that gala supper for Stepping Stones. That's great to see this building come to fruition. I believe it's going to help a lot of families. And a shout out to the mayor of Bonneville, Lessa Brasso, and Kayla Blanchette, counselor. They did sing there at the karaoke. Did a wonderful job. And Counselor Ryan Bailey from the city of Cold Lake. It was just amazing how they sang, and it was very entertaining. And minding the MD, no MD counselors got up.
We are all chickens. I was one of those chickens. Well, the biggest news in the MD was the pierogi eating contest in Glendon. We had 40 seniors participating, and Mike Kraviak was the winner. So give him a hand. And a close second was our Ben here, our CEO. So give him a hand as well. I was also at Stepping Stones. What a great event. Just some of the speeches that were said at the ribbon cutting were really well done. Just the one that touched me the most was the one by Mr. Brown, and how it was explained that 85% of the build was from local people. So I thought, man, that's a high percentage for a big building like that from our area, 85%. And I asked him to maybe come and sit down with us and tell him how that came about, kind of thing, just for our information. I don't know, just something. He said he would gladly come and talk to us, so that was pretty cool. Just wanted to mention a lady that kind of touched my life from Stepping Stones, and she's no longer with them. Her name is Susan White. It's the only lady that I ever seen do a presentation here, so she got us all involved from the start, I think, but she wasn't involved with the close, so I just want to shout out to Susan White for all that she done in Stepping Stones, and I think the lady that was with her at that time was Cindy, but I'm not sure on that name, but I think it's Cindy. Is it Cindy? They were both in the start of all that, and I just want to recognize them for all their hard work as well. Yeah, I was at the policing committee there. Another thing that was mentioned to us, that Sarah's our chief from Bonneville here's her last day is on Friday. So just a little information for you. She did an awesome job here in Bonneville, but and I think she's staying in the area, I believe. Yeah. So went to the Bellamy thing. I thought that was pretty cool as well. And then Steve, I want to say his name, Steve Gogan. He's been working here as a peace officer forever. Thank you, Mike. Brain's going faster. And he requested for me to come to his little retirement party that was put on by the MD, like a thing, and it was an honor to go there. He served for us for 20-some years here, so I was just honored to be asked to come to that little luncheon. Made me feel pretty special. So that's all I have. We need a motion to go into closed section, I think. I think we just want to get that done, not go for lunch, correct? Yeah. All right, I just looking for a motion to close in closed session. All right, thank you, Councillor Sipchik, for making a motion to go into closed session at 11:42. Thank you, everyone. Okay. What?